Quick recap. This is Misty, my project MR2. Long-term project. She's been off the road for 6 years now or something ridiculous like that. A couple of months ago, had her MOT'd, which is England or the UK's annual safety check, and she failed. MOT issues are split into two sort of categories. There's the failures and there's the advisories. Advisories being things that aren't failures but will become failures given time and no attention. My goal has always been to give Misty a complete clean bill of health, so no failures, obviously get her on the road, and no advisories. The last MOT, there were 4 failures. They were a severely binding brake, the parking brake not working properly, windscreen washer not working, and a wheel bearing had gone. Now, last video we already found the windscreen washer, that wasn't an issue, that is working fine, so we can cross that one off. And then in terms of the advisories, there's the inner tie rod, which I replaced last episode, so we can cross that one off, and then a binding brake that isn't quite so bad. So the goal today is to fix everything, and I've got all the parts here I need. Got wheel bearing, a couple of new brake calipers, and some brake hoses, which I don't technically need, but while I'm in there, figured I might as well sort those as well. I had a mechanic press in the new wheel bearing, as I don't have a shop press, so I couldn't do it. I just took the hub to them, so just need to put this hub back on. But before I do that, I'm going to take this opportunity to replace the brake line first, as without the hub in the way, it should be a little bit easier. Pretty impressed with these brake lines I bought. They're from Wesmoto. They've got these 3D printed brackets that replace that, and then that will then clip into that bracket there, so it should be a nice drop-in replacement. Famous last words. Let's see how well these bolts come out. Actually, no, I'm being an idiot. I should undo that first. So far, so good. Okay, there's one. There's 2. Next up is to free the hose from this bit, and then should all just come undone. Would definitely be easier with all the suspension together. So I might actually, with hindsight, have to put the hub back in to get that part solid. So I think that is what I will do. I don't actually know the correct order of operations here. I'm assuming get it on the axle and then get everything else in place. So let's go for that. The lower arm needs to come down to engage with the hub. Okay, that is a bit better. Oh, wasn't easy, but finally managed to get the hub in place, although I haven't bolted in the lower ball joint yet, but I've got enough to hold this still, so let's continue with getting this brake line out. There we go. Pull that through. Oh no, you're kidding me. The banjo bolt doesn't fit through. That's ridiculous. Right, it is coming through. I think there's just a bit of corrosion on the outside of the banjo that made it a little bit on the tight side, but it is designed to fit through. That's better. There we go. Old brake line liberated. The new one should, yep, fit through there like that. Beauty. And then that little 3D printed bracket will go on there. And everything's how it should be. That felt like it was spinning inside the plastic. So I'm hoping that's tight enough. If it's not, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't do that bit yet because I don't know how far it needs to go down. I need to get the new brake caliper on. Here's my nice shiny new caliper. And that bracket is old. I've cleaned it up best I can. Don't have any brake paint, so I'm just going to leave it like that. I might paint it at a later date. Same deal with the carrier. You know, brushed all the loose rust off, but it'll do. Put this onto the carrier and get it on the car. A lot of the grease is just going to come off on that boot, but oh well. The air in there is just pushing it back out again. Run this bolt in gently for now, just to hold it in place. Some grease on the sliding areas, just get them in. Trying to not touch the braking surface so I don't get grease on that. There we go. And then same on this one. Now I can get that into the car, hopefully. I'm sure the keen-eyed of you have noticed this is a very rusty rotor. But I think it's just surface rust. It wasn't mentioned on the MOT last time, and she's not really done anything since then, so I'm going to assume it's fine. Okay, somewhere around here I have some bolts. I don't know where they are. They might be fairly close already. How convenient. What are the chances? I just landed in exactly the right place. I find that quite unrealistic, to be honest. Okay, so I will now torque those bolts up and then we'll get onto the brake line. So banjo bolt, washer on the back side, another washer, and then try and manhandle it. It really doesn't want to be that way. These aren't sided, are they? Have I put the right side hose on the left, maybe? No, I think it's just they've been made with absolutely no care for what direction that's pointing in. I've decided to give up on this hose. I'm really disappointed with them. I mean, I mentioned earlier that this 3D printed bracket doesn't actually hold that nut in there anymore. So when I try and tighten it or loosen it, it just spins. So I'm not convinced I've done it up tight enough. And then down here, the way they've attached that end is just seemingly random to the orientation of the hose and like the way it's bent. So I can't get that to mate up to there. I might be able to make it work if I were able to undo this bracket, because then I could maybe rotate the hose in there and rebend it. But I can't do that because the bracket is shit. So I've just opened a return for these. I'm sending them back. I would not recommend buying Wesmoto car hoses. It seems to be they're a different company to the bike hoses, and the bike hoses are quite well regarded. But if you go onto like the Wesmoto website, there's no mention of car hoses. So I'm not 100% sure what these are, but don't buy them. This is where I am with the front brake. This was the really binding one. I didn't film removing it because it's largely the same as the rear, but check out those cylinders. It was not easy to get this off. This was a very binding brake, so good thing I got the replacement for that. So of course, we've got another spanner in the works here. The replacement caliper is just the caliper, not this mounting bracket bit, so I'm going to have to reuse this. But I've just pulled this pin out and it's not looking great. Clearly some water and schmoo has got in there. But then this one, that is just pure rust. And of course it means, you know, I can clean up that pin, but down in that bore is also pure rust, and I don't even know how to clean that out. So probably I'm going to have to source a new or refurbished one of these as well, which puts a delay on everything annoyingly. I really want to figure out what's wrong with this headlight. Is it just the motor needs replacing, or is there something kind of rubbing on it, stopping it working very well? So I'm going to try and have a look at that. And I've got a good trick for getting this to raise easily. 5.5mm socket on an electric ratchet. Just put that onto here. Perfect. I don't even know if I need the light up, but I'm assuming I'll need access to things. So next up, I'm going to undo these bolts and see what's what. There is some movement, but it's clearly secured in somewhere else. So I think we're going to have to undo these screws. There we go. So it would seem there's at least one more very awkward bolt down here to release the headlights. I'm going to try and get that one out. Luckily, I've got thin hands. Got it. What else is holding it in place? This was not part of the deal. Oh yeah, there we go. Hasn't really helped though, but in fact, if anything, it's made it worse because now my headlight's all limp. But I can feel there's no resistance there, so the problem must be in the motor. Now I should be able to undo these bolts and kind of get most of the headlight assembly out of the way. So the legend goes. And these do look quite rusty. I'm not convinced this is working. This kind of inner metal bit is just spinning with the bolt. So I think I may have found a solution to this. It seems to be working. I happen to have an incredibly low profile spanner that's for something on bikes. I can't remember what I used it for. But the 14mm edge just fits nicely around that bit that shouldn't be spinning. We're just working this bolt out now. Whether or not it's just sheared. I was about to say whether or not it's undoing or shearing, I don't know, but that answers the question. It hath sheared. Light unit is free. Now I can get to the motor, but I'm also going to have to figure out how to fix and replace this because I've buggered that up. I might have to just buy a whole new one of these. I've been buying a lot of shit lately. This car's getting expensive. So after much finagling, I managed to get this out of the car. This is the headlight motor on its bracket. I don't really know how to test it. Like, I know I can just apply 12 volts across these pins and it'll turn. But it was working kind of, it was just a bit weak, so I don't know what that would prove, if anything. I think, as I've already established, that there was nothing restricting the motion of the headlight itself. The motor's got to go, and as I snapped that bolt, I'm going to have to try and just find a replacement entire assembly. As long as it has the main headlight holder and a good motor, other bits that might not be in such good condition I can get from this and what I have. So I'm kind of stuck now. I'm going to have to call it there, I'm afraid. I really didn't want to. I really wanted to get Misty back up and running, MOT'd in this video, but circumstances have once again conspired against me. It's just waiting for parts again. I mean, the brake hose, pretty pissed off by that whole situation. Those hoses were just not good enough. To be fair, they were about 30 quid cheaper than the equivalent Hell hoses, but then the bracket that was part of the problem, that 3D printed plastic bracket, was a Hell part anyway, and the Hell hoses would have come with the same parts, so I'm not going to go with them. I've actually found just a single rear brake hose that I'm going to use that seems like a more OEM style, so I've ordered that. That should be arriving soon. Same with the front brake caliper, need that new bracket to arrive. Again, ordered that, should be here, I don't know, this week hopefully. And then finally the headlight, and I mean, I didn't really need to get the headlight sorted for the MOT. I could have done what I did last time, where just raise the headlight up and leave it there. But what's an MR2 without pop-up headlights? That's what it's all about. I've got to get it fixed. So I haven't yet, but I will order a complete headlight assembly with a motor, get that installed. Hopefully that's it. So next video, I'm mostly kind of slightly confident that she'll be MOT'd and back on the road, and that's the goal. So thank you as always to our lovely Patreons, and thank you for watching.